G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. Let's get stuck into a Chinese elm today. Now, I don't usually normally get to work on Chinese elms, but this was dropped off to me by one of my customers who just wanted some direction into what he can do with this tree. I'm glad it's come here because I really like deciduous trees. Chinese elms are really vigorous, great for beginners, excellent starter trees, very hard to kill, extremely vigorous growth wise, just all lots of positives, but if you don't look after them, they can be quite negative. So it's a matter of, make sure you really work on these guys, keep them trimmed, keep them, watered, fed, etc. Just keep them growing really healthy. So the reason I like this tree is it will show you a couple of options in terms of how deciduous trees can be styled. Like, I'm a big believer in naturally looking deciduous trees, not triangular trees. Overall, they could be kind of form a nice large kind of triangle. That's fine, but not the pointy. I'm just not a fan of that. That's my opinion. Please remember, it's my opinion. If you've got trees like that, that's great. That's what you enjoy. But for me, I want a natural looking deciduous tree. And this tree has some real good features. And that's the reason I wanted to video it. Now, I'll part some of these away. And you'll probably see at the base, you can see a very strong middle trunk. And then you've got this 1, 2, 3, 4 other smaller trunks, even a fifth one, if you can call it, down here as well. I really like the natural multi-trunk look for deciduous trees. I'm a huge fan of it. Now, I do a lot of this with maples, but nothing wrong, there's great opportunity here to do it on a Chinese elm. So I really like the structure. I'm not going to be doing anything to this trunk other than cleaning up a lot of this foliage here, maybe just putting things in the right place. I usually only wire the main branches. I don't wire all the secondary and tertiaries too much on deciduous trees. They'll explode growth and the wire will cut in. Usually just the main branches I'd wire and trim up a lot of the rest to really nicely form the tree I'm after. So we'll see how I go with this. I'm going to put a bit of wire on some of these trunks, the smaller ones. Not going to really do anything here. Maybe in the top here I'll put some wire, but really that's about it. And we'll kind of position branches in the spot I like. I like a multi-trunk look for this tree, so I'm going to try and go for that, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, so I've actually applied wire to most of the main branches I mentioned. Nothing along this trunk. There's nothing needed, nothing really required in that sense. Let's start with how I'm going to design the tree. Okay, so this is my view as well, like you're looking pretty much at what I'm looking at, so you can see how I go about this. Now, obviously, you want to set some of these branches. Now, I have wired them. So with deciduous trees, they're way less flexible than junipers or pines that I, bend and twist. So you really have to be a lot more careful in terms of how much I bend it and so on. So I'm trying to create a branch out in this direction, almost forming a nice, another nice kind of branch that goes up and then dips slowly, which is how, so I'll just lower the camera so you can see it kind of comes up and then dips and just tries to go back down. So just tipping that bit more downwards. And some of these, I did wire some of these sub branches because I needed it. So just putting some of those in place. These have to be reduced. So I probably overwired in terms of how much I'm going to wire. So I'm just going to go around and start trimming back this tree slightly because there shouldn't be as much foliage when I'm done on this tree, of course. So really it's about just pruning what I'm not going to need and require in the future, and really reduce some of this growth that's underneath. You only want things that go up, flatten outwards. So it's looking pretty good that side anyway. Now I've got a back branch that I want you to actually see that trunk. So you'll be able to see now. You can just see it popping its head out. And I'll tilt it backwards a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So from side on, you can see it's coming back a little bit, almost forming a back branch, but not in that sense. So it's too long, so I'm going to reduce that because I want it to be a very small little tree. Now it has this little stub in here, which I'm going to see how it's a bit straight and thick. I'm going to reduce that because I want this to be the flow of the tree. Now, the other thing with elms, I find them very easy to wire because of their branch structure. It's nice and it's like very nice and uniform as it grows. Like you got, for example, in here, there's a branch there, then there's no branch on that side. It's a bit further up. So like branch there, then you can put the wire in between, and there's a branch there. So it's really easy to wire the branches. Does that make sense? So it's not like some other trees which are on bifurcating, I think they call it, when it's that branch has a direct one directly opposite. You see it on cedars, for example, and things like that. So that's pretty good for that branch. It's pretty good for the back branch. This one, I'm not a fan of. I'm just going to remove him so you can actually see some of the trunks in there now. So you should be able to just see him popping his head out into there, into there. Okay, so he's in there. This is just foliage here. It's probably in your way. Just remove it so you can actually see. Now on this side is a bit more interesting because I've got a bit of a bare gap in here. I did want to see if I can just maneuver some of these top part. I don't want to move this because it's not really easy to move that without cracking it. I do want to try. I'm just going to move this back into this spot in here to get it growing in this direction. So the reason I want to go in this direction, I'll move the camera up, is to actually bring it back and make some sort of tree in here. So it needs a bit of a trim. So just trim it back slightly. So I want to try and grow a little tree in there, in that vicinity. So that's that one really done. Reduce some of this foliage mass. I'm just going to put some branch out in the back over here. I'm going to keep that one, and this one's, I'm just trying to form some sort of other tree in here. So this is me. We've got to be a bit creative. I'm not sure if I'll keep this back one that's in the back over here. I'm going to leave it for now. Good to have lots of options. And so it's just playing around with what I'm going to do with this branch, whether I want it a little bit forward, a little bit, some branches we don't need, so we get rid of him, a little bit forward, a little bit more interesting. Probably too long, of course, so we'll start reducing that into a smaller tree. I pretty much cut back to the initial buds because this is sort of exploding growth. Don't have to really worry about how much foliage I've got on right now. I want more compact foliage as well. So maybe a nice little tree in there, a tree in there, that long one. Maybe we can have a trunk in there as well in the future. So maybe he can be up in here. He can be up in here. So I've got 1, 2, 3 almost in this area, just forming some sort of interesting tree. Again, this is just creativity. Use your imagination as well. How you want to design and see a tree. So maybe something like that in there. Not a fan of this branch. Might get rid of him. But as we work our way up, now we start to get to the... So kind of created all this area here, nice and interesting. And now it's just a matter of seeing what I want to do up here. Now, there is a lot of space, so I need to kind of unfortunately fill this out. But I don't want to go nuts in trying to bend branches heavily. Just want to see if I can get a natural dipping motion into them. So they look kind of ugly, but right now, but I guarantee you these will really work great and come back really strongly and should be okay. So just creating something in there. There's a bit of a back one, so it's a bit too long, so I'm just going to reduce his length. So now we get up into this area here. Let's have a look. So I did want to try and bring this more into the front apex, kind of make some sort of a bit more of an apex area. Now, a lot of these branches were sticking up, which is fine, which would be good, but I need them to go up like this to create some sort of branching. And unfortunately, I need something to go into these areas. I don't really like to do this as much, but I have to because there's absolutely no branching in that area. So just reducing a little bit of the height, length, I should say. these have to reduce quite a bit. Again, just trying to, unfortunately I have to get them to dip a little bit because I have no option at the moment. So I'm trying to get them to go up like this and then down a bit, up and down a little bit. Preferably I would have liked them to go more upright, but it's okay, getting there. So they've got the movement up and down, you know, trying to be a very deciduous tree. So that's the plan at the moment. It's just a matter of now cleaning up a lot of this foliage. And then just the apex area. So see if we go down lower, you can see some sort of nice structure starting to happen with the tree. Just go reduce that, reduce that, reduce that, reduce that. And with elms, you really just got to be on them, continually pruning to get all the ramification happening. All right, so we've got nice bits. So let's get this apex sorted. Now I've got just the right amount of wire to keep that in a nice place. And then I'm not really going to wire anything, it's just going to be trim them back. Because really they're just too long already. So it's nothing, there's not much I can do there except for trying to create a bit of structure in what I've got already. So a little bit sticking up, but not much I can do just now. Keep it flat as much as I can. Trying to create a nice natural tree. So that's really it, guys. But look, it's a nice natural looking, you know, kind of elm. Like it's a little bit triangular, but not overly triangular, right? Do you know what I mean? So it's got some multiple trunks forming the overall look of the tree. Now all this has to do now is fill out. Really fill out, ramify, see some branching I got rid of, you know, really ramify and really get lots of foliage. And this will be a nice mass of foliage over here. This will be a nice mass of foliage in there, and then an apex that's fuller in nature. So it'd almost be like one big canopy in the top, then one at the back. You got to make sure they're very differentiated as well. You can't have just one big mass of foliage, but you just slowly get into where things will be. I like the trunks, the multiple trunks look good. Easy to look after these trees. Just keep them watered, fed, and trimmed. Very important. Trim all the time. The more you trim on these guys, the better they're going to look. Easy to wire. The main branches were wired, and that's really it. So again, elms are very, very easy for beginners. Great to work on because they teach you lots of lessons, and easy to look after. Very easy. If you kill these, you've done either you haven't watered it for weeks and weeks and it's dry as a bone, or that's pretty much it. I don't think you can even overwater these guys because I love it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that nice short video on Chinese elms, and I'll see you next time for more videos.